about the advantages of opening a Swiss bank account. The important thing to know about Swiss banking is that opening a Swiss bank account is not much different than opening a standard bank account down the street. About the only restriction is that you must be at least 18 years old. I've been in the offshore banking and company formation industry since 1991. Over nearly 3 decades as of this video, we have built the largest organization in the country and possibly the world that establishes international companies and bank accounts. I've walked down Bahnhofstrasse, the street with the largest number of banks in Switzerland, and have had close relations with Swiss bankers for over 15 years. We have relationships with banks in other parts of Europe, North America, Asia, South and Central America, Australia, Africa, and I personally know CEOs of bankers in the Caribbean and in the South Pacific. I have met with multiple prime ministers and premiers around the world, as you can see from pictures on our website. Now, my goal in making this video is to make it the most complete and comprehensive video on Swiss banking on the internet. And I hope it helps you, and if needed, you can contact us because we're here to help you establish a Swiss bank account according to your needs. So what's so special about Swiss bank accounts? In the simplest term, Swiss banking has a reputation for anonymity and the ability to safeguard substantial assets from public scrutiny. As an international banking center, Swiss banks offer unprecedented professionalism, and this is upheld by the sophisticated legislation and regulations that favor the security and confidentiality of foreign deposit accounts. These modern confidentiality protections date back to the Swiss banking law of 1934. They provided a legal basis to protect against the looming threat of Nazi Germany. The promise of this inflexible confidentiality shielded and held the stability of these accounts and provided by its over 500-year history of neutrality during times of war, which draw people from around the world to apply for Swiss bank accounts. How Swiss banking works. As stated, account opening in Switzerland is similar to opening a bank account in your local financial institution. In addition, opening a Swiss bank account can take some time due to the Know Your Client laws. Much of the paperwork is on the bank's end, and as with most offshore accounts, there are stringent anti-money laundering regulations. Eligibility. To be eligible for a Swiss bank account, you must be 18 years of age or older, as we said. Plus, you will need a valid passport. Swiss banks will validate the information of potential customers before proceeding with the application process. So you'll need to verify your identity with a notarized photocopy of your passport. Then you will need to document where your money is coming from and how you earned it. If you have a large deposit, let's say from the sale of a home or business, for example, you'll need to provide bank statements or other documents to verify that source of funds. Why? It is because typically banks have thousands of customers, and if one slips through the cracks and deposits funds gained illegally, drugs, illegal arms, terrorist funding, etc., the government will impose fines on the bank and revoke its license. So you and I may be squeaky clean, but just like getting on an airplane, even the good guys go through security. Something to keep in mind, some Swiss banks may refuse to do business with certain citizens of certain countries. Reasons for this may include official embargoes with countries like Iran and North Korea or political exclusions. Even the tax evasion crackdowns instigated by the U.S. Department of Justice have led some Swiss banks to avoid doing business with Americans for fear of legal repercussions. Fortunately, we have relationships with banks in Switzerland that will open accounts for U.S. citizens. Now keep in mind, eligibility is often more complicated than simply walking in with a valid ID and good intentions. So to be sure, call us and seek guidance before submitting an application. Our staff is extremely experienced and our fees are quite reasonable. Bank account application. Many Swiss banks allow you to apply for an account by mail, but others may require you to apply in person. However, don't book your trip overseas yet because Swiss banks have encountered many challenges working with U.S. citizens. So your chances for approval are much higher if you work with our experienced financial team that has established relationships with banks in Switzerland. Some things you will most likely need to have to apply for your account are as follows: a valid passport, verification of address, such as a valid utility bill, for example, if it's original, documents that explain your profession, tax returns, company documents, professional license, etc., documents that prove the source of funds, identification of any beneficiaries of the account. Plus, account holders can choose the currency in which to hold the funds. The most popular options are Swiss francs, US dollars, euro, and British pound sterling. There's usually no minimum balance required to open up an account, but once you have started making deposits, a minimum balance requirement usually applies. Minimum balances vary greatly by bank and type of account, and they can be anywhere from a few $1,000s to $500,000 or more. For people in the U.S., plan on $250,000 to $500,000 as your opening deposit. Banking privacy. Now, information sharing in Switzerland's privacy laws are the biggest draw for many people when it comes to opening up a Swiss bank account. However, they do not protect your assets against anything the Swiss law recognizes as illegal. For example, people who open accounts overseas to hide assets from criminal allegations, tax investigations, and other nefarious proceedings are likely doing so illegally. Swiss banks do participate in cross-border cooperation of criminal investigations. Thus, they will share information on transactions that involve unlawful activity. Likewise, Swiss banks have agreed to share information about U.S. account holders for tax purposes, and the U.S. government enacted the 2010 Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, or FATCA, and these laws enforce international tax collection. They make tax evasion very hard to pull off, and it levies heavy fines on banks for noncompliance. Unfortunately, this has led to some Swiss banks not accepting U.S.-based clients. Holding assets overseas is not illegal, but U.S. taxpayers are required to declare these accounts. If you don't, the Swiss bank may do it for you. By the way, it is not just a Swiss thing. After FATCA, all banks worldwide that accept U.S. clients must comply. Private Swiss banks versus retail Swiss banks. Now, almost anyone can open a Swiss bank account, but not all Swiss banks are available to everyone. In fact, if you walk into the wrong bank, you will likely be escorted out. This is because there are two types of banks in the Swiss banking system: private banks and retail banks. Private banks provide a personal level of service with individuals that work with liquid assets, typically of over $1 million, but they've been known to accept deposits as low as $500,000. Many private banks require a special invitation or current customer referral to even open up an account. We act as an eligible introducer to many banks in Switzerland, so we can help you with that factor. Other services provided by banks include counseling that focuses on wealth management, investing, tax concerns, and estate planning. Retail banks, on the other hand, are more in line with a traditional banking system. Customers work with local branches of larger commercial banks and utilize services such as checking, savings, loans, mortgages, etc. Retail banks offer the basic investment services as well. The advantages of Swiss banking. Now, there are many advantages to opening a Swiss bank account. First is strong privacy protections. The Swiss banking law of 1934 is a genesis of Switzerland's reputation for confidentiality in the banking industry. According to Investopedia, this law made it illegal for the Swiss banks to disclose the name of account holders. This makes the confidentiality protections akin to doctor, patient, or attorney-client privilege. Bank secrecy laws are frequently amended to further protect customer data. Currently, the primary law governing bank secrecy in Switzerland is the Swiss Federal Acts on Banks and Savings Banks Banking Act, which was amended in 2016. Now, Swiss law does not only forbid bankers from disclosing information regarding your account. In addition, there are serious penalties in place if a banker should break that trust. In fact, a person or entity that discloses customer data in violation of the Banking Act faces up to 3 years in prison, or 5 years if the violator profits from the disclosure. Moreover, there is a fine of up to 250,000 francs. There are also additional administrative and civil measures levied against the violator, and the customer has the option to sue the bank for damages as well. Now, according to the Banking Act, there are only a few exceptions to the privacy laws. civil proceedings such as divorce or inheritance, debt recovery and bankruptcy, criminal proceedings such as money laundering, organized crime, tax fraud, etc., international mutual legal assistance on criminal matters. Now, numbered accounts. In the old days, numbered accounts were the strongest privacy option offered by Swiss banks. While numbered accounts were not anonymous, they attached a number rather than your name to financial transactions. Plus, it limited who knew about your account and who could find it. Nowadays, instead of setting up numbered accounts, people open accounts in the name of offshore companies. So you set up a company in the Caribbean island of Nevis, such as a Nevis LLC, for example. You can go ahead and call us because we both file companies and set up bank accounts, so we can help in that regard. Then you open an account in Switzerland in the name of the Nevis LLC in this example. Even though your account is labeled by a company name instead of your personal name, you will still have to provide identifying information for the ultimate beneficial owner. Naturally, certain staff members within the bank will have some access to the name behind the account. Low-risk investments is another advantage. The extreme stability of the Swiss government is another reason why many people choose to open Swiss bank accounts. Switzerland has not been involved in a war with another country since 1505. Plus, international strife rarely has an impact on the country's rock-solid economy. In addition, Swiss francs have substantially increased in value against the US dollar and over the euro in the past 15 years. This makes it one of the world's strongest currencies. Most modern currencies exist digitally, and the Swiss, on the other hand, back the franc by at least 40% in gold reserves at all times. Thus, it has virtually zero inflation. Another factor that protects your hard-earned money is the Depositor Protection Act, or ESI Swiss. The Bankers Association, SBA, governs the deposit insurance program, and it guarantees client money held in Swiss banks and security dealers. The Depositor Protection Association also ensures that customers of an insolvent bank will have their protected deposits paid out to them within 1 month of any bank failure. We have money managers associated with the Swiss banks that we utilize, and they are expert portfolio managers, and our clients typically see returns of 8 to 12% annually over the long haul. These are funds the Swiss money manager has invested in stock and stock funds. Before proposing a portfolio, the banker will contact you and discuss your preferences. Just for the wealthy. A common misconception regarding Swiss banking is that you need to have substantial wealth to open an account. But in some cases, you can have an opening minimum deposit as low as $10,000. For U.S. people, to compensate for the extra regulations the bank must follow, the deposit minimums are higher. Plus, with the security measures provided by Swiss banks, you can rest at ease that your money is safe. There may be additional requirements including proof of income, maintenance fees, and limitations on working with customers from certain countries. Therefore, go over everything with one of our staff members before sending your life savings abroad. The Swiss Challenge. The thought of having a Swiss bank account may sound like the stuff of legends. However, it really is possible if you have the right guide. A financial expert can help you find the right bank and walk through the application. Additionally, they also facilitate the approval process. In an article for Reuters, Angelica Gruber states that the regulations from U.S. authorities such as FATCA and the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, have made offshore business with American customers more complex for bank personnel. However, many Swiss banks are eager to court Americans who want to participate in safe offshore banking. Currently, the U.S. accounts for over 10% of all foreign funds deposited with Swiss banks. This makes the U.S. second to only the U.K., 26%, in terms of individual countries with money parked in Swiss accounts. Perhaps the time has come for you to venture into the exciting world of Swiss banking. From wealth management and investment strategies to simply finding a safe place for your payroll checks, Swiss banking gives you the opportunity to protect your assets and achieve financial growth. This is especially true when your Swiss account is held inside of an offshore LLC or even stronger, an asset protection trust. To find out more information about Swiss banking or setting up a Swiss bank account, contact our experienced consultants today. You can complete a consultation form on our website or call one of the numbers listed on one of our web pages. Thank you.